The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
A couple of years ago, my brother-in-law, Shmuel Sussman, lives in Chicago. When he was a bacher learning in Eretz Yisrael, a very interesting story happened to him. See, he was in his dira with a bunch of his friends, and it was late at night, somewhere in Geula. They were looking out the porch of this little dira over there, and they noticed that there was a young boy on another porch who was looking at these boys, at these American boys, I guess who they looked up to. And from one porch to the other porch, you were able to see these boys in their dira. And when the boys noticed, these Bachrim, these American Bachrim learning in Eretz Yisrael, they noticed this boy, they wanted to cheer up the boy, because the boy looked like he was a little sad. He was wearing a cap, and he looked sad from their vantage view. He looked sad, he looked a little depressed. They said, how can we raise up the spirits of this boy? They said, you know what? Let's make a little show for him. And they started to clap and sing from across the street. And then they had these light sticks, and they started to flip them up and down. The boy saw, and they waved to the boy, and the boy was embarrassed. And he ran back into his apartment. And the boys, of course, had a good time, performing for this boy. The next night, again, they see this young boy come out on the porch, again looking sad. He's looking across the street into these Bachrim's dira. And once again, the boys say, let's lift up this boy's heart a little. And they start clowning around a little, and they start juggling again. And they wave to the boy, and the boy laughs, and he waves back. And they made some sort of connection. Then the boy said, let's find out what this boy's all about, because it looks like he's really down. Let's find out a little more about him. And it comes out that they find out that this boy goes to Camp Simcha every summer. The boy Nebuch went through a terrible illness and goes into Camp Simcha, and they're thinking to themselves, maybe we could cheer him up. And they realized that the real reason why he was wearing a baseball cap was because Nebuch, his hair had fallen out. So they said, you know what? Let's go and make a kumsitz for this boy. Not over here. Let's go to his house. And they go across the street. They knock on the apartment, on the door of the apartment. The father opens up and they tell him, we want to make a kumsitz for your son. Can we do so? He says, sure. So tonight, we're going to try and get our friends together, and we're going to make a kumsitz on your porch. And so calls go out, text messages are sent all around to see if anyone can come Thursday night, 8 o'clock, be there at this kumsitz at this house. And they didn't know if anyone would show up or not. But sure enough, some of the boys, they came, they brought some nash and some soda, and they set up shop on the porch. And as they set up shop over there, they sat down and they brought different instruments and a guitar and bongo, and they gave one to the boy, and the boy started playing on it, and then they started singing songs. And before you knew it, all of a sudden, boys started streaming in from all over. There were yeshivish boys coming from Brisk. There were boys coming from the Mir. There were boys with black hats. There were boys with no hats. There were boys coming from Neve, all different types. Yeshiva, for all the different yeshivas, Mizrahi yeshivas, didn't matter what yeshiva you were from. They all came together to sing and to make this boy, to lift up his spirits. And this boy was playing on his bongo, and he was so happy. And they kept singing. And after a while, after they were singing, and it felt like there was magic in the ear, they looked outside. One of the boys looked outside from the porch, and he noticed something incredible. All the surrounding porches in Geula, they were all in the porches looking to see what was the site all about. They were listening to the beautiful music that was being made for this young boy. And the boy was so thankful. He thanked him from the bottom of his heart. And it was a tremendous Kiddush Hashem. My brother-in-law ended up going back to America after the Zman. And 6 months later, he came back to Eretz Yisrael for a chasana. He's at the chasana, and someone called him over and said, someone wants to speak to you on the side. He goes to the side, and who does he see? He sees it's this young boy. And this young boy looked up at him, and he saw now he was wearing a yarmulke, and his hair was growing back. And he said, I see at this wedding, I just want to tell you, he told him in his Hebrew and his broken English, he's told him, I want to thank you for making my life. You made my life. My brother was so touched. Felt like crying. It was so beautiful. Such a moment. You made my life. What did he do? All he did was, he looked out his window, and he saw, what can I do for another boy? What can I do to lift up his spirits? And that's truly our message. Klal Yisrael is in a time of tsaris and gullus. It's very hard sometimes. Sometimes it seems very dark. And we're looking for ways to lift ourselves up. So what can we do? Well, what we could do is we could use our koiches. The Rebbeinu Shalom gave each and every one of us koiches, special koiches. I can do what you can't do, and you can do what I can't do. We all have these special abilities. And all we have to do is look out of our window. And sometimes we only look in our Dalet Amas. But once in a while, we have to look across the street. We have to look at someone else who's out there. And why? Think about it. Why does he look so sad? What can I do? And you'll realize There's a music that you can make for that person. You can lift him up with your koiches. Whether it's singing at a kumsitz, whether it's bringing him close, whether it's a good word, whether it's getting together with friends, whether it's raising money, whether it's seeking out help in a way that only you can. You know that you can do it. You have the power, and it's up to you to make the difference.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org